information and things that are happening in LifeWave. Always love the first few minutes leading up to this, watching everybody say hello from around the world. It reminds us of this incredible global community that we're a part of. I've seen people joining from Canada, Germany, Sweden, Poland, Denmark, Italy, South Africa, from across the US, Romania, and many other places. So we just closed out another incredible month of seeing the global impact that you and the LifeWave products and opportunity are having on people around the world. A couple quick updates and housekeeping items. In the US here, there's going to be a LifeWave boot camp in Scottsdale, Arizona, December 5th and 6th. We also have 3 incredible incentive trips going on right now. The qualification period started October 27th and runs through February 22nd. So make sure you're running to achieve. Would love to have you there at those events. Go visit your back office for some additional details. And of course, we're just coming off an incredible Share the Light conference that was truly the most powerful event I've ever attended. We enjoyed everything from legendary entertainment to the Cellergize evening launch to exciting product trainings, the LifeWave Now app launch. We had inspiring speakers. We had the opportunity to recognize your success and achievements over the last year as you've advanced in rank and grown your business. We also were able to learn so much about LifeWave's humanitarian efforts, and we got a look into the future of LifeWave and the future of human potential from our founder and chairman, David Schmidt. And today we get to continue our product and wellness learning from him, our founder and CEO, David. So remember, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the chat. We'll do our best to answer those. And now I would like to introduce and turn the time over to our founder and CEO, David Schmidt. And David, I'd love to start off just by getting some of your thoughts about the incredible Share the Light conference.
Oh, it was amazing. As you know, that was more than a year in planning. And first, we have to collectively come up with a concept for the event and what's going to be a recurring theme. How do we tie everything together so it's seamless? And this year just simply was the best that we've ever done. Last year, our 20th anniversary conference, as you know, was spectacular. And it was a very difficult task ahead to top it. And this year we were able to do that. You know, the other 2 things that are worth mentioning is we had an event on Friday evening where we had a warm-up from Jacob Collier, a multi-Grammy Award winner who is phenomenal. I've never seen anyone play piano and guitar at the same time and also sing. That was, extraordinary. And then, of course, we had a private screening of Code of Creation, which is a documentary and story about the creation of the X2O water system. And that was incredible to be a part of that. And of course, I was just looking at this before we got on, and we were able to also show as a surprise the video, The World's Oldest Intern. And if you go to Google right now and you Google search World's Oldest Intern, Google is full of press releases, videos about that. And I know we have an extraordinary number of views already on that video.
Yes, we have more than 100,000 already, and it is growing by the tens of thousands every day. We quickly, multiple times throughout the day, look at the views, watch the incredible reach that it's getting. Again, this was a great way to generate brand awareness for the LifeWave brand. And David, I'm glad you brought up Code of Creation. That was one of my favorite moments, absolutely, from the entire event. Just getting even more, a little bit of a sneak peek into the innovation process, into what it takes to discover new innovations and technologies and bring them to market. And it was so inspiring and impactful for me. And I'm really excited for the future release of that and to get that out in the world and all the other people that'll get to learn about LifeWave from that documentary as well.
Yeah, and I just saw we had a comment thanking us for the Doobie Brothers, and they were amazing. I think it's worth mentioning, since you never know people with that level of success what they're going to be like. But we had an opportunity to meet them backstage, and they were just really great guys. Very down to earth, very kind, very happy to take the time to say hi to our leaders. And so it's nice when you see people at that level of success and been performing for decades. They're an icon in music in the United States. That they're so kind to our leaders. So that was really great having them there.
It was. And just the energy that they all brought, each one of those legendary performers was absolutely incredible. I know that it was one of the highlights for so many of us. And there's a question that just popped up about the world's oldest intern asking if we can post it. Yes, you can absolutely post it. It's also in the back office. It's on our YouTube. It's on our social pages. So please feel free to share that video far and wide.
Yeah, and the point for us to do that was to provide our brand partners with a tool so they can reach out to their contacts and share LifeWave in a really fun way. It's a nice way to introduce somebody to our company that's completely, non-threatening and very soft. And so that was really the idea behind it, to provide our leaders with a new kind of tool to share who we are as a company. And of course, we also want to encourage people to come to Utah and experience our welcome center for themselves, because it is really, really extraordinary place.
Yes, you can't even describe it. Even the pictures and photos don't do it justice. It is an experience that you have to have firsthand to understand the impact of that welcome center. And I just appreciate your vision in bringing such an incredible welcome center. Again, I've never seen anything like that in my entire career, but it is such a cool interactive way to learn about the history of LifeWave and also where LifeWave is going in the future. So thank you, David, for making that happen.
Absolutely. And I just saw we got a comment from Mary Hollingshead saying that Doobie Brothers was her first concert. So we have something in common.
Wow.
That, I think I mentioned that from stage,
Yeah.
that Doobie Brothers was my first concert. So having them there all these many, many years later was really incredible. So we will now, after a month of debriefing, in December, we get started on planning out next year's event, so we can keep up that standard. And we're, of course, we'll look forward to that next year.
Absolutely. We're all excited to start planning and to find out what's in store. You always have incredible surprises for us here at corporate, but also for the field. And we can't wait to see what this next conference is going to be like. And
Absolutely.
At the conference, I had the pleasure and was fortunate enough to be able to get to speak with you about our products. And we want to continue that today. And I know that you're going to go deep on some of the formulations, the specific ingredients and their benefits. And I can't wait to learn more. And I'll do my best to feverishly take notes on questions here as they come through. Thank you, David.
Well, let's do it. We have a lot of information to go through, and what we're going to be talking about today are the Cellergize morning formula and evening formula, but we're going to approach this from a different angle, because by now you've heard Wayne and I discussing both of these formulas and their benefits. But what I'd like to do with you today is look at each of the individual ingredients in both the morning and the evening formulas and show you what each ingredient has to offer relative to longevity. So normally what we talk about are how these formulas complement our patch products, what some of the health benefits might be. But now we're going to take a look at this and say, if I'm trying to achieve the best lifespan, so how long can I live, but also stay as young as possible for as long as possible, we're going to look at how each ingredient contributes to that overall effect. So let's go ahead and get started. So first we have the fact panel on the morning formula. So this is a very robust formula. And the reason for the inclusion of all of these ingredients is so we can optimize the function of all of the patches. So, for example, in order to make copper peptide, which is elevated by X39, X49, of course, is a different copper peptide, we need copper. So there we have 2 milligrams of copper. In order to elevate carnosine, you need to have alanine in your diet. So we have beta-alanine in this formula as a precursor to carnosine. Glycine is a precursor to copper peptide and also glutathione. And acetylcysteine, precursor to glutathione, and so forth. So this is a very well-rounded out formula to support the activity of all of our patches. But each of these ingredients makes its own contribution to longevity. So we want to break that down. Now, also, here is the supplement fact panel for the evening formula. And the 3 of the ingredients that I want to talk about, we'll talk about magnesium relative to both of these formulas, but we'll also be talking about taurine, theanine, and nattokinase. And each of these 3 ingredients offers something very unique relative to longevity. So in other words, we think of the evening formula as a way to put our body into a state of relaxation, and then we can use a patch like Silent Nights or Alavida or even Eon, and those will help improve the quality of sleep. But you will be getting other health benefits from taurine, theanine, and nattokinase having to deal specifically with longevity. So I want to show you some studies on that. And of course, there's other ancillary benefits. For example, one of the things that nattokinase is best known for is how it improves the health of the cardiovascular system. So nutrients like taurine, theanine, nattokinase, and magnesium are all well established to helping to manage blood pressure. There's even studies showing that taurine will reduce blood pressure better than pharmaceuticals. There's good research also that shows that theanine will on its own reduce blood pressure. Nattokinase will reduce blood pressure, and so forth. But let's take a look at this from the perspective of longevity, in addition to the immediate benefits. Okay, so let's get started here. And if this will comply and help me out, here we go. Okay, so one of the ingredients that we have in the morning formula is niacin, vitamin B3. And interestingly, niacin has been regulated as both, depending on dosing, both as a vitamin and also as a drug, because it's been used in the treatment of cardiovascular disease. It's known to improve the strength of the arteries, reduce arterial plaque, improve blood flow, and also reduce levels of LDL cholesterol and increase HDL cholesterol. But the reason to be interested in niacin relative to longevity is that it's a precursor to NAD. So NAD, of course, is a longevity molecule. It will flip. But let me back up so I'm not making some assumptions here. They're in human beings. There's something called the sirtuin genes. And these genes help to regulate the health and longevity of the cell. In human beings, there's 8 sirtuin genes. In some life forms, there's only 2. NAD will regulate two of the sirtuin genes. So if you elevate NAD, you can get cells to start acting like younger, healthier cells. So NAD has been a target now of anti-aging and age reversal research for a number of years. Dr. David Sinclair at Harvard is well known for his research into NAD. Now, precursors of NAD are two different molecules. One is NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide, and the other is NR, nicotinamide riboside. Some of these supplements are difficult to come by, and they can also be expensive. What's been shown in studies is that regular old vitamin B3, niacin, will elevate NAD because it's a precursor. You should be aware, though, that if you take more than 50 milligrams of niacin, you can get what's called a histamine flush. It's not harmful, but it is itchy. So if you're interested in using niacin this way, I'd recommend you speak with your healthcare practitioner about it. This is probably a good time to say that I am not a medical doctor. We don't provide medical advice here. Use this for what we're going to talk about tonight for information only. And if you're interested in any of this, please take it to your healthcare practitioner so you can get a program customized for you. Okay, now with that out of the way, that's why we look at niacin as being an important nutrient for longevity because it's a precursor to NAD, and NAD will help to reset cells to a younger, healthier state. So we've got niacin in our morning formula, 20 milligrams. Now, magnesium, you could say there's over 300 different biochemical pathways that utilize magnesium. So magnesium is going to play a role in helping us to deal with stress. For men, it helps support testosterone levels. Athletic performance, muscle contractions are dependent upon magnesium. Health and function of the nervous system. So this was an article that I pulled up by Dr. Frank Littman, and it gives you a nice rundown on some of the key benefits of magnesium. So first, before we get into longevity, because I do want to show you some other information on this, big one here is in assisting with inflammation and oxidative stress. So when we're looking at species that defy normal aging, so let's say this could be mollusks, this could be lobsters, planaria, they have complete control over the inflammatory process and the stress process. So in other words, in these species, you don't see that inflammation and oxidative stress damages healthy cells. That process is completely under control. So magnesium in our bodies helps to play a role in managing stress. So if you're somebody that is under chronic stress, long work hours, emotional stress, you'll definitely want to speak with your doctor about getting 400 or maybe as much as 800 milligrams daily of magnesium. Now, zinc is another nutrient that we included in the morning formula. Here's a study on the link between zinc and age-related diseases. And so we often think about zinc as being key for the immune system. So when COVID was going around, as an example, people were loading up on extra amounts of zinc. Zinc has a property, it's called oligodynamic, meaning that zinc can kill viruses, bacteria on contact. So this is why zinc lozenges can be so effective for a sore throat, because they'll kill that germ on contact. But I wanted to pull this up because what's not generally talked about with zinc is that it influences the synthesis of DNA and cell division, and it's an antioxidant. So this, of course, would be very, very important to health and longevity, how DNA is protected during replication. We'll get into another nutrient momentarily that can actually repair the DNA once it's been damaged. Now, selenium is a very interesting mineral. It's a micronutrient. We included it in the morning formula. And if we go back to work that was done in the 1970s, if we look in the book Life Extension by Dirk Pearson and Sandy Shaw, you can see even back in the 1970s, they were already talking about the use of selenium as a treatment for various forms of cancer. Now, dosing is important. We have a relatively low dose of selenium in our formula as a way of meeting daily requirements. In cancer therapy, 400 micrograms, so pretty small amount of selenium, has been found to be toxic to many different forms of cancer, especially breast cancer. So for those of you that are interested in natural substances for preventing or treating cancer, selenium is a very, very good one to be looking at. Selenium is also required for the manufacture of glutathione in the body. And of course, glutathione is the body's master antioxidant. Glutathione, or rather selenium by itself, will function as an antioxidant. And of course, that makes it very valuable when we're looking at longevity. So this was a good article on selenium and its antioxidant properties and why that's critical in anti-aging. Now, this one I think you might find surprising. We often talk about the need to take daily copper to support the body's levels of copper peptide. There's some other benefits to taking copper as well. Copper, we can go back thousands of years, and the Romans would actually put powdered copper into wounds to prevent an infection. It's interesting how they knew that, because what we know today is that once there is an open wound at a site, it will heal faster in the presence of copper, and the likelihood of getting an infection is dramatically reduced if there is enough copper at the injury site. So a number of good reasons to take daily copper. But here, we know that copper is required to make copper peptide, and copper peptide will reset thousands of genes to a more youthful state. But I wanted to pull up this article because one of the things we think about in health and longevity is cognition. So how well does our brain work? Can we retain our memory, focus, sharpness as we age? And here's a study showing that copper intake is directly associated with the health and function of the brain. So this would be a good article to take a look at if you're interested in this subject. Now, I think also surprisingly, copper is associated with telomere length. We can speculate on the mechanism of action here. But this was a study looking at the link between copper and telomeres. So again, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, telomeres are rods on the end of the chromosomes, and telomeres will shorten through cell division. The number of times the cell divides is directly linked into lifespan. This is called the Hayflick limit. So with human beings, the telomeres are going to stop dividing, or the telomeres shorten completely, cells stop dividing at around age 75, meaning once your cells stop dividing, that's it. You don't have any more cells that your body is making. And it's one of the reasons why people over the age of 75 have a problem healing. In species that functionally do not age, their telomeres never shorten. So telomere biology is a key area of research in age reversal or stopping aging. We want to know, how can we keep those telomeres healthy and prevent them from shrinking? Another thing that's interesting is that states of disease and stress are associated with shortened telomeres. So we have a number of incentives for wanting to keep our telomeres long and healthy. And here is a study that shows that intake of copper will help support the length of the telomeres. So that's a key benefit that most people don't know they're getting. Now, Life Extension is a company here in Florida. And I have found over the years that Life Extension, they have a board of doctors, and they're really excellent at the research that they do and the information that they disseminate. And this is from a study in 2016. I'll pull up the study. It was in the Journal of Human Nutrition and Dietetics. But basically, what this was showing is that nutrients such as vitamin C, folate, most people will think of folic acid, and potassium is associated with longer telomere length. So, of course, we have 500 milligrams of potassium in the morning formula in addition to vitamin C. Many people don't get enough potassium these days. And one key benefit and one reason why we included potassium in this formula is that it helps to recycle nitric oxide. We'll talk about nitric oxide in a moment. But what we found, this was years ago when we first started experimenting with nitric oxide formulas, was that you could get the nitric oxide to last longer through the addition of potassium. Had no idea at that time that potassium will actually support the length of the telomere. So in addition to all the other essential functions that potassium serves, and another benefit to potassium in the formula is that it's going to help support the length of the telomere. So an amazing longevity benefit. Now, this is the study that was cited. So for those of you that want to read these studies, this is a link to the study that was shown in Life Extension. And by the way, there's a number of different ways of measuring the lengths of the telomeres, but measuring the leukocytes and the granulocytes are what are considered the gold standard today. Okay, we were talking about nitric oxide, so there's no nitric oxide in our formula, so why am I bringing this up? Well, nitric oxide is a gas, and it is made from the amino acid arginine. Now, we did not include arginine in the morning formula, but we did include L-citrulline. L-citrulline will break down into arginine in the blood, and this is actually a more effective method of introducing arginine into the body than using arginine directly. The reason that arginine gets broken down into the intestine. So using citrulline, the amino acid citrulline, which is found in watermelon, by the way, using the amino acid citrulline is a very effective way of elevating nitric oxide. And then, of course, we include potassium to give that nitric oxide more longevity in your body. Now, there are some immediate benefits to elevating nitric oxide. Most important is that nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It also acts like a hormone in the body, but it's a vasodilator. So that means it's going to improve blood flow. So this is going to have some obvious benefits on the health of the cardiovascular system. If you're using Cellergize as a pre-workout, the boost in nitric oxide improves athletic performance. In addition, because it improves blood flow, nitric oxide is strongly associated with male sexual health and male sexual performance. So this is yet another benefit of the Cellergize morning formula. Now, what about longevity? There is a link between lifespan and health span and the body's levels of nitric oxide. Some of this is relatively easy to understand. Heart disease is the #1 killer, and part of this has to do with a breakdown in the endothelial lining in the arteries. And the endothelium is where nitric oxide is being made. So nitric oxide is absolutely essential to the health of the cardiovascular system. So using nutrients to support nitric oxide is important. I would also want to say that the single best thing you can do to support the health and function of your heart is going to be exercise. Nothing is ever going to replace that. For those of you that were at our global conference, you know that I spoke about a new form of cardio called rehit, which requires 2 20-second sprints twice per week to get the equivalent of 90 minutes of steady state cardio. We're doing studies on this now with X39. It's incredibly exciting because it means that in 2 less than 10-minute workouts per week, you can get in a full cardio workout. Very, very exciting. So you do want to include exercise as part of a healthy lifestyle, but supporting your nitric oxide levels, of course, is also going to be important. Okay, we'll keep this moving along. Creatine, another ingredient in the morning formula. Now, creatine, for at least the past 20 years and longer, has been thought of as a nutrient used by bodybuilders and athletes to improve muscle size, muscle strength, and that's all true. Some of the new studies that have come out have linked creatine to improvement in cognition. So for those of you that want to get the most out of your brain and you want to improve memory and focus, creatine is a very interesting nutrient to look at. There's even evidence now showing that creatine can help overcome jet lag. So once you're going into different time zone, you might take 5, 10, as much as 20 grams of creatine to help you recover from that jet lag. But this was interesting because there's now a link between the body's levels of creatine and methylation. So to explain, when we're talking about epigenetics, and these are genes that can change over time. So in other words, as we age, there are genes that get turned off that are supposed to be on, and genes that get turned on that are supposed to be off. And this is done through a process of methylation. So there's some genes that are methylated and others that are hypermethylated. So they're either in an on or an off state. So interestingly, there's a link between the body's levels of creatine and the ability to methylate these genes. So this suggests that if we want to ever reverse human aging, that creatine will be involved on some level. Now, carnosine. We've been talking about carnosine for nearly 20 years now, and I think we were way ahead of the curve on our research. And now you see the past number of years, 5 years or so, other people catching up in looking at the association between carnosine and aging. So back more than 20 years ago, what got me interested in carnosine was that it seemed to have an effect on protecting the telomeres. That wasn't known back then, but there was literature that showed that carnosine could increase the lifespan of mammals by 30 to 40%. So that's staggering. That could take someone over the age of 120. And also, in those experiments with mice and rats, it was shown that they stayed young up until what in humans would be the last few years before they died. So carnosine is incredibly exciting because it improves cognition, improves the health of the heart, improves strength and stamina, and supports overall healthy aging and may keep us younger longer. There's even benefits of carnosine when it comes to the skin. It's the most powerful anti-glycation nutrient known. So for those of us that live in the United States that may get a little bit too much sugar in your diet, the excess sugar causes glycation, and this is results in biochemical stress on healthy tissue. And carnosine helps to inhibit that stress from occurring. Carnosine is also going to protect the mitochondria. And of course, what we know is that the health and function of the mitochondria is intimately linked to aging. If we can keep the mitochondria functioning at normal, healthy levels, then those cells act like younger, healthier cells. So carnosine plays a role in that. Okay, I'm going to keep moving along because we could keep talking for an hour about these nutrients. Glycine is included in the morning formula. Glycine, of course, is a precursor to glutathione. It is a precursor to copper peptide, and elevated levels of glycine are correlated with an increase in lifespan for a variety of reasons. Glutathione, lifespan is directly linked to glutathione. We included N-acetylcysteine in the morning formula because it's a precursor to glutathione, the body's master antioxidant, and how long we live is directly associated with our glutathione levels because it's managing stress and inflammation. Cyanothox is also in the morning formula, and it is associated with protecting the DNA. It's an incredible antioxidant, so it's going to support the health and function of the mitochondria as well as protecting our DNA. Now we'll move over here to the evening formula, and one of the ingredients that we included is taurine. So taurine is an amino acid. It's found in the brain and also found in the heart. We included taurine because it produces a sense of relaxation on the nervous system. And in fact, for people that have high blood pressure, taurine, depending on the dose, has been shown to reduce blood pressure, get it into a normal range. So if you're using the evening formula, not only will taurine help to relax your body, put you in a state where you can go to sleep, but it also supports the health and vitality of the cardiovascular system. Now, at LifeWave, we have been researching taurine for its anti-aging effects. One of the things that's been found is that as people age, their body's levels of taurine seem to decrease. And supplementing with taurine may slow down the way that we age. Interestingly, there's some studies that show that if men supplement with taurine before the age of 40, that they don't experience a decline in testosterone levels. It protects the Leydig cells in the testes from oxidative stress. So in the future, supplementation with taurine could be mandatory for men, so they can protect their testosterone levels into old age. It's something that I wish I knew 20 years ago. Now, theanine is another amino acid. It's found in green tea. And what's interesting about it is theanine will not make peptides and proteins, and it has some very powerful biochemical activity in the body. Typically, we think of theanine as producing a state of relaxation. So in green tea, it helps to balance out the caffeine. So you get the energy boost of the caffeine, but it doesn't stress you out. But theanine, relative to longevity, is going to help control oxidative and inflammatory stress. This is relatively easy to understand because when we look at the effects of stress on the body, stress always correlates to an increase in inflammation. So theanine, as something that relaxes the nervous system, is naturally going to help to manage the inflammatory process. But this was a link that I found that I thought you would find very, very interesting because it describes in great detail what theanine is as an amino acid and some of its many, many benefits. Here it is down here, how theanine impacts aging. And so you can see its effects are very, very broad. So when you're using the evening formula, theanine will not only help produce you, put you into a state of relaxation, but it's also going to have benefits long-term, many, many benefits long-term. Those of you that are suffering with chronic pain and inflammation, you may find that from using the morning and the evening formulas, that inflammation and pain begin to decrease. And then finally, before we go over to some questions, we included nattokinase. The nattokinase is absolutely extraordinary. It's found in a food called natto, which is consumed in Japan. Now, nattokinase, by the way, was found to break down the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So, we'll have to see how the clinical studies play out on this, but we might find out in the coming years that people who take nattokinase, maybe they don't get COVID as severe as everyone else. I guess we'll see. But one of the things we do know about nattokinase is that it is one of the best natural materials known for improving the health of the cardiovascular system. It does this by improving blood flow, by breaking down arterial plaque, and we included this in the evening formula specifically for those benefits. So in other words, you go to sleep at night, you get better blood flow, you sleep better. And of course, it has long-term benefits. So, Wayne, of course, life extension, health span, age reversal is one of my favorite subjects to discuss. There's so much more information to break down on each one of these ingredients. So this was just to serve as an overview, but this is really to say that in both the morning formula and the evening formula, there are some remarkable short-term benefits that people can experience right away. But they can also take comfort in knowing that both of these formulas have phenomenal long-term benefits, as well as being able to protect our health, improve the health of our cardiovascular system, and give us some additional benefits like improvement in strength and stamina.
David, thank you for sharing all that information about those powerful ingredients. There were so many comments coming through. Many were people cheering for their favorite ingredients, which was great to see. And also many of the testimonials from people that were able to sample it or have already gotten it. Ali said, in relation to the evening formula, best sleep of my life. D said, this is a game changer. And so many people are waiting, excited that if they haven't already tried it, some just placed their orders this week and it's on their way. But you mentioned about the focus on longevity, and I think that's one of the things that really differentiates these products where other nutritional products on the market will talk about, just generally around daily nutrition. But why has your focus with all of the LifeWave products, and these included, been so focused on longevity?
When I was maybe 8, 9 years old, so part of my family is my dad's side is German and my mom's side is Italian Irish. And so we would go to, was growing up in New Jersey, and we would go to my mom's family's house. And I had all of these old Italian relatives. And, they were in their 60s or 70s. And they had a hard time walking, getting around, not physically in shape. And even at that age, I thought to myself, this is what people become. This in no way do I want to look and feel like this when I get into my 60s and 70s. And so from a very early age, I was interested in nutrition and looking at, is there any way to stop this from happening? And a key moment for me was when I saw Dirk Pearson on the Merv Griffin show. Be some people here that are going to remember that. And I was absolutely enthralled at how he was taking this scientific approach to stopping and reversing aging, and that there was actually some science to this. So I went out and I bought his book. It was like nearly 500 pages, and I read it from front to back many, many times. And, that began a lifelong process of investigating how can we scientifically go about stopping aging. And fortunately, through God's creation, we see that there are species that never age. So God's provided us with models that we can look at in the world around us and learn from that and apply it to human beings. So critical part of this is nutrition. There are some technologies that are probably yet to be invented that will come out in the future. Maybe there's some technologies like X2O that are upon us now. They're going to play a great role in stopping and reversing human aging. But we do know that there are many, many nutrients, like taurine, for example, that decline with age in the body and that we can start using today for these immediate benefits of improving athletic performance, managing our blood pressure, improving cardiovascular health, and then also knowing, hey, maybe I'm not going to age as quickly because I'm taking this nutrient.
Well, I know that we're all grateful that you were inspired early on and have made it your life pursuit. There were a couple of questions from around ingredient levels. So some asked if one was relating to copper, if they're already getting a lot of copper kind of naturally in their diet, does the body end up discarding any excess nutrients? How does the body process that in relation to stacking of ingredients or vitamins and nutrients?
Yeah, fantastic question. In the case of copper, there's been studies that have been looking at this. Now, there are some people that don't tolerate copper well. So if someone that's listening to this, they're unsure, they should see a medical doctor that's a clinical nutritionist that can give them some guidance and give them a test to determine if they're going to tolerate copper supplementation or not. But in studies that are available, they see the best example of this is liver. So if we take a country like Romania, for example, where it's very common to consume liver. Liver is amazing. For men, liver can support the body's levels of testosterone, in addition to being a protein source. But liver is very, very high in copper. You could get 30 or 40 milligrams of copper from a single serving of liver. Now, what's been found is that within 2 hours of having that meal, the body's copper levels have come back to normal. So the body will flush the excess copper. In other studies, it's been shown that up to 10 milligrams per day of copper is safe. Now, the current recommended daily allowance of copper is 900 micrograms, so just less than 1 milligram. So we included 2 milligrams in the morning formula, which we think is a good dose. Some people might want to take more, or they get sufficient amount in their diet. It's totally up to them.
Thank you for that. I had another great comment come in. I just have to read it. It says,
Okay.
love these products, and the morning supplement rocks my morning with energy and focus throughout the day. Last night, I used the evening and slept like a queen. And they said, thank you. Uh,
That's wonderful.
so I love seeing these comments come up. A couple other questions also just around timing. So throughout the day with each of these formulas, when is the best time and maybe the best way to consume these products?
So a lot of flexibility here. I would say first with the morning formula, there's a huge number of options. Some people may want to take it when they wake up in the morning and use it as a pre-workout if they're working out in the morning. Some people might want to have it at 9 a.m. once they're getting settled in at work. That's totally okay. Some people may want to use it in the afternoon, 2, 3 o'clock. They may start to feel a lull in the afternoon. If they're using our patches, they shouldn't. But some people might want an extra boost in the afternoon, so they could do that. So a lot of flexibility on when you take the morning formula. On the evening formula, little bit of a different story. I'd recommend it about an hour or so before going to sleep, because for most people, when they take the evening formula, it's going to kick in within about 20 minutes and you're going to start to feel very tired and relaxed. So I wouldn't take it at dinner time, for example. Otherwise, you're not going to have much time with your significant other or your kids. Um, so yeah, maybe an hour before going to sleep with the evening formula would be a good idea.
Thank you. Yes, it is very effective. You can feel the benefits pretty quickly of both these products.
Yep.
So for those that are relatively new to LifeWave, where do you see the Cellergize formulas fitting in their wellness journey?
Yeah. So what I would really encourage people to do is to look at their foundation and start there. So in other words, what type of lifestyle do you have? Are you exercising regularly? Are you getting enough resistance training, enough cardio work? What's your body composition like? Do you drink enough water? What's the quality of your sleep? How many hours are you sleeping? And then, of course, what's your diet like? And because nutrition today in food is so poor, the quality of our food supply is so poor, we have to be thinking about filling in gaps in our nutrition. So, for example, we all should be taking a minimum of a B complex formula to help our body deal with stress, and the B vitamins are cofactors. We should be getting some minimum level of antioxidants in our body to help deal with stress and to help support healthy aging. So the morning formula and the evening formula help to fill in these gaps. Most people aren't going to get enough magnesium. Most people aren't going to get enough potassium. So these formulas help to fill in these nutritional gaps. Now, when we want to go beyond the basic foundation, that's when we're looking at technology as a means to overcome limitations in our biology. So, for example, some people like hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and that can be very therapeutic and be used as a foundational treatment for a number of different diseases. Some people might want to use saunas for detoxification. And these things work better when people have a healthy diet and they're exercising. So the patches are the same way. The morning formula, of course, was designed so that regardless of what patch you're using, the morning formula is going to support the activity of those patches, has all the ingredients that you need in your body to support the health and function of those patches. So that might be a good way to think about it.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. There were also some questions just around the type of water to put it in, its temperature. There was even, is it okay hot? Maybe someone doing kind of an evening tea, a bedtime drink with it, and also with the X2O water. A couple questions just around the water delivery system for these products.
Yeah. So for the evening formula, if someone wanted to put Cellergize Evening into warm or hot water, I don't see any issue with that. With the morning formula, I would advise against it. I would say cold water is better for the morning formula, but for the evening, if someone wanted to use hot water, they could. Otherwise, room temperature or cold water is what would be typical. For X2O, what people will notice, and I know, Wayne, you've noticed that at the office and even done a video about it, is that when you take Cellergize and you put it in the X2O water, it dissolves very, very quickly. And that's because of the reduced surface tension of X2O. So X2O actually acts as a delivery system for both of the Cellergize formulas. X2O, of course, we're getting back onto market with. We wanted to do some refinements and upgrades to the machines after the pre-market test. So that'll be coming back out in the first quarter of 2026.
And I know everyone is very excited for that. David, thank you for sharing all of this incredible information about these products. Everyone is either that's tried them is singing its praises. Incredible testimonials keep coming in, and others can't wait to try. So thank you for bringing these into the LifeWave portfolio. And one of the comments I think sums up this experience of us getting to learn from you each month. And they just said, knowledge is the key to health and wellness. So thank you, David, for helping to increase all of our knowledge around health and wellness and longevity. And thank you for bringing these incredible products to market.
No, thank you, Wayne. And it's a privilege for me to be able to get together with our LifeWave community, just amazing people. And I feel so very blessed that we get to do what we do each and every day and bring this message and these products of healing and light around the world.
Thank you, David. And thank you all for joining. We'll talk to you next month.
Thanks, everyone.